Okay, this last video covers the tools section for the student functionality in ItsMySchool. This is essentially generated, a lot of this was from student requests, like a lot of the features on the site, and we'll step through this right now. I think we all know as faculty and past students, what students like is the open ability to view their grades at any time. And you know, in the past they'd have to go in and see the instructor unless they carefully tabulated things and organized it on their own. And so they wanted this capability, and so I thought, well, let's build it into the site. So you can see the first orange highlighted bar says all scores, and it says their current score is 82.1%. And so what it did is it gave them a very quick by exercise the maximum possible points, what they received, and where they were on the total grading. I strongly encouraged student collaboration, and I think that that's pretty obvious when you see that the student collaboration points was worth 17 points. And I like teamwork, and I believe that any project that is going to succeed requires teamwork, and I believe that students, to be successful, needed to know how to work as a team. And so there's a number of spots on the site, in particular the discussion forum, that allowed them to very easily get their student collaboration points. So it was a very nice means to ensure that students were helping each other and interacting with each other, and so I found it very beneficial. At any rate, the all scores was a very key thing that they had asked for. Okay, the next tab is the assignment scores. This, when selecting this link, would then dynamically create the left navigation bar that provided a view of all the assignments for the site, and so you can see the exercises and projects there. And when clicking on any exercise, they would very quickly get a view of how they scored. Any points that were taken off, a little question mark icon would show up next to the criterion. You can see the column there with the question mark, and all that they would have to do is select that, and then the notes that I put in that describe why points were taken off were then presented. And that was highly beneficial, because I didn't then have to remember for all, I could have 100 to 150 students for a semester, and try to keep all that organized in your mind with all the assignments and things. So it allowed me to assign notes to the grading sheets as I went through them, and then when they came to me, if they did, after reading the note and still had a question on it, I could pull up the note with them right there. We could review it, and then they could argue their case. And if I made an error, obviously I could correct myself very easily, because the grading system was nicely automated. You can see here, though, the left tab bar is nice, because if they wanted to know their grading for exercise 8, they could click on it and nothing would show up, and when they see that it's tan, they should know in advance that it's not going to show up. If there's an exercise that's about to be due, you can see that's exercise 7. As soon as that exercise was done being graded, I'd update that in the instructor management side, and then that would turn from red to tan. So it was a very nice system for that. Another piece that students really wanted badly, and I gave it to them, was how did they stack up against the other students. And even when students would claim that they didn't want it, they'd have this really silly, sheepish grin on their face, so you could tell that they really did. But at any rate, what this did is that at any time during the course, a student would merely go through and click on this link, and then anonymously they would know how they stacked up against all the other students in the course. Excuse me. So it was highly beneficial for that. And we have one tab left here. You could get the grading scales we know on another page under course information, but I also had a quick link tab here that allowed them to very quickly determine the grading scale and be able to compare that to the grades that they had received up to that point. So a big chunk of this entire piece is all dedicated to the students. Excuse me, I had the online enrollment capability, and so what the students would do the very first day of class, because as I'd mentioned that this system was secondary. The college that I instructed at, they had Blackboard, a powerful online education system, and they did their enrollment through there. So I built this piece here where the students would come in, they would enter their account, and then they would automatically have full management capabilities. I also had a very powerful management system for the instructor, and I'll review that in a separate presentation. And then finally, another piece that the students had wanted was to have a nice local area that aggregated all their exercises so that they could archive things. So this is an important piece to the overall functionality, and this chiclet that you see here is all tan, and what they could do is select an assignment individually, and when they did that, they would then click on the download button, and it would pack up the assignment and then provide it for download. There's also the ability to archive all the assignments, and if they chose that, it would highlight everything in blue, and then it would then intelligently pack up all those assignments into a zip file, and then all that they'd have to do is download that. Well, I hope you enjoyed this overview of the student functionality. There are several videos that are tied to this. As you can see, there's a lot of functionality. I hope you realize that the leading online education system on the marketplace at the time, and probably still now today, Blackboard, while they did provide an online education environment, it was very laissez-faire in terms of giving the instructor total freedom on how they would enter their content and manage it. And so you know, each course could look dramatically different than another course, and students could become lost on what they were supposed to do, and instructors even within their own courses would change things inadvertently and then make their courses even look different. My site, pretty much based on wizards and things, made the course creation extremely easy, and it was also in a straightforward set format. It was identical for every single course. It was color coded to also ease the navigation on the site, and it still provided the instructor full flexibility on what they wanted to present, and it provided full flexibility for the students to do what they needed to do as a student, but it just did it in a very nice standardized way. Well, I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and I have some videos to cover the instructor role that I think will show quite well the functionality that was there. Thank you.